Hi, my name is Mick Bramonti. I am the service manager for Daddy's Junkie Music Stores. We serve 21 stores throughout New England and New York, and the folks at Optech wanted me to talk to you today about your Fretlight guitar, its setup, and how to change strings. Let's talk about a guitar setup. What does it mean to have your guitar set up? Well, first, you want your guitar playing well. The playability of your guitar is a result of several factors. Number one is the saddles and the bridge, the strings, the straightness of your neck, the way the strings come across the nut, and the way that the strings are wound around the tuners. One thing that you're going to want to do is have your guitar professionally set up at least once a year. Why would we want to have it set up? Depending on where you live, the weather can have an impact on your setup. The guitar is made of wood, and changes in the humidity and the temperature can affect the wood itself. What a setup includes is adjustment of the bridge so that the intonation is correct and the string height is correct. We adjust the neck so that the neck is straight and there's no buzzing. We do this by adjusting the truss rod. Some things that can happen with the neck and the truss rod are the neck can be bowed, or the neck can be back bowed. What can happen in each of those instances is when the neck is bowed, you're going to run into some fret buzzing up here. If the neck is back bowed, you're going to run into fret buzzing everywhere. So what we do is with the truss rod, we adjust the truss rod so the neck is as straight as it can be, and so that we can get the action as low as we can without having the strings buzz. Then what we do is we check the nut to make sure that the nut is cut at the right height. If the slots are cut too low, the string is going to rest on the first fret, and that's going to cause buzzing. If the slot is cut too high, it's going to cause the action to be too high, and the guitar is going to be difficult to play. So we do that, and we make sure that there's enough space for the string to settle in properly. If there's too much space, there will be buzzing caused by the nut itself. If there's not enough space, the string will not sit in the nut properly. One thing that we also check to make sure is that the strings are properly wound around the tuners. One thing that can happen if the strings aren't properly wound is that you will have tuning stability issues in that your guitar will go out of tune. We'll go over that in a little bit when we change the strings. We also check the bridge to make sure that the intonation is correct and that the string height is correct. You can see that the saddles move both ways. They move back and forth and they move up and down. We adjust them up and down to make sure that there's a correct radius according to the radius of the fingerboard. We want to make sure that the strings match the neck. We also adjust the saddles in a back and forth fashion. That sets the intonation. Intonation is that the notes from the 12th fret and beyond, which is the halfway point in the neck, are correct. The note here needs to match the note an octave higher at the 12th fret on all the strings. As you can see, there's a lot that goes into the playability of your guitar. Optech and Daddy's recommend that you bring it into a professional once a year to have it professionally set up. There are going to be instances where you break strings, and there are going to be instances where you notice that your strings don't sound as good as they used to. In that case, you want to have your strings changed. You don't necessarily need to bring this to a professional to have this done. You can do it yourself, and I'm going to show you how. When you're changing your strings, you're going to want to make sure that you have the proper tools. You're going to need a set of wire snippers, and you're going to want a string winder. You're also going to need a tuner to make sure that when you do change them, that they are in tune. First thing that we need to do is we need to take the strings off the guitar. Some folks recommend changing one string at a time. Some folks recommend cutting them all off. Either or is actually fine. I prefer cutting them all off, so we're going to cut them all off. What I like to do before I cut them all off is to detune them so that so nobody loses an eye. Now take your wire snips and cut them one at a time. Push them out the back of the bridge and then remove the strings from the bridge. Again, you can do this one at a time. Unwind the strings from the tuners and pull them out. One thing that it might be good to do when you get the old strings removed is to clean off the neck. Residue from your fingers can build up, and nobody likes a stinky neck. Also, lots of pick dust gets between underneath the strings on the pickups and in the pick guard. One thing that we want to make sure that we do is we get enough wrap on the tuner so that the string will stay in place, but not wrap it too much so that it causes binding issues around the tuning post. Your strings out of the pack come labeled. Make sure that you get the right strings in through the right saddles on the bridge. Your Fretlight comes with a fixed bridge. What you'll need to do is feed the string through the back of the bridge and then over the saddle. To do this easily, you may want to put a little bend in the string. Make sure you get the proper strings. This is the E string. This is going to go through the back of the bridge, come up through the saddle. I have to help it out a little bit. Once we've gotten this string through the bridge, we want to make sure that it's all the way in. One thing we don't want to do is get to winding it and find out that there's some slack left over behind the bridge. So make sure the string is set fully against the bridge. Now feed the string through the tuning post. Pull it all the way through. One thing that we want to make sure that we do is that we get enough of a wind around the post so that the string won't slip out and detune on you. So what I do is I give myself about 4 fingers. This I found to be enough so that we get the right amount of winding around the string post. After I've made sure that I have enough string to go through the post, I bend it on the back side of the post so that the string won't slip through as I'm tuning the guitar. A useful tool to have when changing strings on your guitar is a peg winder. This will make the action of winding the string around the post a whole lot easier. What I do is I take the peg winder, put it on the tuning peg. Then what we want to do is we want to put enough tension on the string before we turn it so that the wind will go underneath the next wind. So if you look closely, I'm going to want to make sure that my wind goes underneath the previous wind, okay? And to keep enough tension so that that happens by itself. Then what I do after I change each individual string is I cut the remainder of the string off as close as I can to the tuner and throw it away. Now the plain strings, the strings with no windings on them, require a little more of a wrap at the tuner because there's not enough to grip the tuner. With the wound strings, the windings actually help to stay on the tuner itself. So we want to make sure that we get a couple extra windings on there. And I still use the 4-finger technique, but I stretch it out a little bit. So what I do with the plain strings is I expand the fingers. Still do 4 fingers, but I do the 4 open fingers. And then I make the bend behind on the back side of the tuning post. And then what I do is I hold the string like this so that I do get enough tension to make sure that the wraps are correctly wound around the string. Alright, so we've got our strings installed on the guitar and now we're ready to tune them. I like to use an electronic tuner, it's easy, and what it does is it plugs into your guitar and it gives you an actual readout of the tune of the string. So I'll plug into the guitar, I'll plug into the tuner. This tuner you can also plug into your amplifier too so that you can hear while you're tuning. Then I turn up the guitar and I tune. One thing that I also like to do after I've tuned each string is to stretch the string a little bit. And what I do is I take a rag or a polish cloth and I go up the string and just twist gently. What this will do is it'll stretch the string that will naturally stretch over time. What will happen is after you've got your guitar tuned, the string will stretch on its own and it'll detune itself. Once you've gotten all the way through the strings, you're going to want to go back and check the tuning on the previous strings. What will happen is, because you're putting tension on the neck, is that the strings that you have tuned previously will relax a little bit and come out of tune. So go back. See, we've lost a little bit on our E string. And there we go. Even though we've helped to pre-stretch the strings, you're still going to find that they're going to need to stretch a little bit over the next couple hours of your playing. So you will need to check your tuning from time to time. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this quick look at setup and changing your strings on your Fretlight guitar. If you have any questions about your Fretlight guitar, call the folks at Optech and they can help you out. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to jam out a little bit on my Fretlight. If you have any questions about your Fretlight guitar, call the folks at Optech and they can help you out.
That was great. Yeah, keep going. Just